Hey everyone, it's Target 64 here again with another project, part 2 of upgrading this Can-Am. Sold my 2005 Arctic Cat 650 V-twin, had 13 inches of ground clearance. That's why I purchased an Arctic Cat. I wanted the ground clearance. I got rid of her. This Can-Am has only 10.5 inches of ground clearance, so I contacted this company. I bought these spacers, installed them in the bike. Spacer actually measures 2.5 inches to the bottom of the coil. Got them installed, all 4 shocks, and boy, the angle of your axle is not good. As you can see, the plastic factory CV boot is rolling around. It's touching each other, so it's going to cause friction, going to heat up, and it's going to crack the boot right there, almost guaranteed. The axle is way out in the end of the cage, so again, there's friction, heat. If you were to take this thing and hook on to something like a stump or a log you wanted to pull, especially with 80 horse, something's going to give. Another thing is there's no jounce to the suspension. And I weigh 200 pounds, and this thing is so rigid. Just riding around the yards, you're bouncing around like an older style three-wheeler, just relying on the rubber tires to bounce you around. Handles terrible. I contacted a company, and they told me that if you're just kind of trail riding around and stuff, you shouldn't have a problem with it. But if you start working it, they recommend going to a longer axle, which is $500 for a pair of axles, which is ridiculous. I'm not spending $500 on a pair of axles. The front end's up the same. The angle's wicked. On the bottom of the boot here, you can see right here, that's just some grease I spilled off when I was greasing it. But on both sides, the boot is rubbing and it's wicked angle on it. They say they break the front ones too. I ordered these new inch spacers. Should have them by the weekend. I'll install them. And they say you leave your factory setting at number 3. They still give you 2 inches of ground clearance, but the bike suspension is a lot softer on it. This is ridiculous. I mean, the whole damn bike, as you can see, jumps in the air. There's nothing here. I'll get the other ones put on. I'll report back to you guys how it goes. But it looks good right now. It's jacked up in the air, but definitely not worth the problems you're going to have with these big spacers in there. See ya. Hey everyone, 64 back here with removing these 2-inch spacers off the bike. Finally got the 1-inch spacers. They came in, took it apart yesterday afternoon. Ended up setting the cam adjuster on all 4 shocks at number 3 setting. The 1-inch spacer installed. The bike still has 13 inches of ground clearance. But when I get on the bike, I weigh 200 pounds. It drops down to about 12 inches. At least the suspension can travel now. So you have up and down. You can see it moves pretty easy. With the other setup, couldn't move the suspension at all. It was so rigid. You actually, only suspension you had was the rubber tires flexing up and down. It didn't handle very good either. Put a little bit of weight on it. As you can see right now, your axle's pretty much centered in each CV joint, which is definitely not going to cause you a problem with binding or heating up, and you're not going to tear the boots. Same setup on the front. Real easy to put in. About an hour and a half total time it took me to replace all these. In my opinion, this is the best way to go. Your suspension moves. The other system, way too rigid for my liking. But I don't know everything. See ya.